Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales, featuring Michael St. John, Pat Trammell, and special guests.
I can't believe I'm fixing to say what I'm fixing to say, and what I'm fixing to say is, wait for it, hold on for it. It is all ready. It is absolutely already the first day of November 2022. Mayville, Kentucky representative David Linville in the house, and Greg is in the house. Everybody in the house waiting for the room to fill up, get everybody in here, but we will not have a full panel. We will not have a producer. We are short-handed today. Michael St. John from Arab, Alabama, is at a radio remote, and Chris Ellis is at a school function. And Panetta says hello to everybody, and David Linville wants to let us know that, just wanted to say, my mom is doing better, took a few steps today. Thank you, Lord, for answering the prayers. Very good. I'm happy with that, thrilled to death with that. And I know my man David in Maysville, Kentucky is so happy. So, two-man show today. Welcome to November the 1st. Welcome to Talking Memphis Wrestling. It's me and you, kid.
That's all it is. That's all it takes. One riot, one ranger.
All right, here we go. Now, first question I'm going to ask you today, because you are, let me make sure I'm right on this. You are in the state of Alabama as we speak.
I am indeed. I'm at mission control.
Second question is, Pat, to make sure that I don't keep up too much with the state of Alabama, but I want to make sure I'm correct on the fact that Alabama has two SEC football teams in the state of Alabama. Am I correct on that?
Well, it certainly has one. Whether it has two now is up for debate, I guess. But yeah, yes, that's true.
Now, the head coach, or used to be the head coach of 10 hours ago and was fired today, is a coach that spent one season at Arkansas State University, wasn't the greatest personality in the world. He seemed to be a good football coach and was just here one season. So he was living off of Gus Malzahn and Hugh Freeze, and certainly. So, but he did a good job and he won. So your thoughts, and we'll just start off with a little football talk. We won't take long, but I thought it was interesting. The ASU coach is fired and is no longer there. And by the way, it's a bad day for ex-Arkansas State University coaches. Brian Harsin was fired from Auburn, and Blake Anderson, which was a head coach before Butch Jones, he's in some legal problems, being sued by the college and the state, the university, and all kinds of people are being sued by a former player. So all kinds of things going on with ASU, Arkansas State University. But you don't care about Arkansas State. I'm not saying you don't care. But
I do care about Arkansas State. I certainly do.
The only reason you care is because I live here, right?
Well, I've got ties other than you. Your classmate's been a co-worker of mine for 17 years, and I was friends with Jeff, your AD, and met Butch a couple of times. So yeah, I got some ties. Feel like I've got some ties to Jonesboro.
I still think you made up the fact that I was classmates with your friend, because first of all, I have no idea who that is. Second of all, and I'm a hard guy to miss, especially now, Absolutely. I hadn't heard of her. She hadn't heard of me. Is it a ghost? Are you making it up for Christ's
No,
sake?
I'm not making it up. I sent you a picture of her and you from the yearbook, your classes. That is very strange, but you both went your different directions, and that's fine. But I was going to say this. I think Brian Harson left Auburn, Alabama with more money than he left Jonesboro with.
What was it? A total $7 million now, and within a period of time, he gets 15, right?
Yeah, he gets 7.5 within the next 30 days, and another 7.5 over 3 years.
Oh my goodness, that's something. Want to take a little bit, do a little bit of business here. I'll open up, and then you can help me, Pat, by you do good reading, and I'll read too. First of all, my buddy Randy West is in the house. Hey, Randy, it's just Pat and Randy because Adam Dunn's wife had a car wreck 20 minutes before the show went on. Now, before anybody panics, a deer ran out in Georgia in front of her car. She is not injured at all. The car, some dents, it is still drivable. So certainly I want to shout out to Allison Dunn, and certainly that is a valid reason. Adam called and was getting in his truck, just got the call and headed to 5 minutes down to Dollar General to check that out. So certainly, Randy, I thought you'd want to know that. Al Tuttle says hello to Randy. I'm Randy. Hello. Pat, say hi to Al. He's saying hi to you.
Want to say hey to Al and PJ and Jeff and Randy and David. We are so excited about your mother's progress. I've been there, and I'll tell you what. Sometimes a couple of steps is the best thing that ever happened to you, and I'm praying for you, brother.
Now,
And hey, Frank.
Here we go with Panetta saying, here we go, Randy. Uh, Randy versus Pat. Hey, we're both desperate, man. We're saying, man, it's just me and him. So we're thinking we always know when we get a little argumentative, that's good television. Because if you think Randy versus Pat, wait till we get to the end of the show and see how it goes. And hello, Frank said, Satan, what in the world is Jeff Frog Wheeler saying to us? Pat?
He says he knows it's going to be another great show. And David, Mr. Trammell is my father, and he's gone above. My name's Pat. So,
Pat, I've got a family issue.
all right.
Talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether it's Alabama football, whether it's recent trips you've been on the road.
Well,
I will be back.
All right. I'm gonna tell everybody something that happened to me today that's just I was kind of pleased with. I didn't have lunch today, and I was working, so I had a meeting late in the afternoon. And Frank, we'll get on that topic in a second. Uh, and so there's a little deli down the road from my house, and I thought, well, I'll go get something to eat, and then I'll do the show, and that'll be my one meal for the day, and I can try to stay in these 36-inch pants. But I was walking in, and there was an older lady walking out, and she looked really familiar. And I asked the guy behind the counter, I said, "Do you know who that is?" And he said, "Yeah, she comes in here. That's Miss Doss." And I realized it was Dr. Harriet Amos Doss, who had taught me the Civil War, um, taught me a class on the Civil War, which is one of the things I love to read about in my history reading, in 1984. So I chased her outside, and she was getting something to go, and I knew she was married to a guy named Chris Doss, who used to be a county commissioner who's a little bit older, a good bit older than her. And so, anyway, I tracked her down and we had a nice 10-minute conversation about the old days. I don't think she remembered me at all, but she was happy that I said hello, and it meant a lot to me to say hello to her, so I enjoyed that. Uh, Frank, if it was me, I would hire Matt Rule because I think they need a real football coach in the Pat Dye mold. I don't think Lane Kiffin has. I don't think that's a good move for him. I don't think Dion is really a serious candidate just because he's at a FBS school. And Hugh Freeze, we'll see. So I don't know. I'll tell you, they and this is not anything that's new to anybody in Alabama or Auburn fans. And there's one in the next room that I'm married to. Until they start letting the athletic department be managed professionally and not get involved, you're going to see this story over and over. And I've seen it 5 times in my lifetime. So that's my thought on that.
Well, this is a crazy night. I just got a family text, and he is okay, but my 17-year-old nephew just hit a deer. Same thing as Allison. Same situation, pretty much the same time. So everybody driving. This is a public
Pull over.
announcement. This is deer season, folks. The deers are trying to get away from the hunters, and there's deers out. So everybody be careful. Do you have a lot of deers down there in Alabama, Pat?
We do, and I can tell you why that's. I can tell you why that is. It's a 3/4 moon when the sun goes down later, and deers go into their fall rut at that. So deers are out all excited trying to get dates, and that's why they're running out in the road.
And David says the same kind of issue is happening in Kentucky. So all kinds of things happening today. This is talking Memphis wrestling, and I am going to cut to something I want to share with you, Pat, and I want to share with the wonderful, and it might be out of order. And the first thing I'm going to do right now is I am going to put you on camera so I can mess with getting these graphics up here. I had a wonderful weekend, a fantastic weekend. It couldn't have been any better, and I won't share some pictures. Might not be in any order, but we will discuss them. This first picture was Friday night, and this is my 1-year old great nephew Aiden, and I am passing him off to his dad Jake, my nephew, my great nephew Jake, and Aiden is my great nephew. Do I look happy in that picture there, Pat?
You look very happy. You have little responsibilities with nephews, very little responsibilities with great nephews, but with great nephews, you're just there for the fun.
Now I don't have any nephews at all. Zero.
Okay, you've got nieces and great nephews. Okay.
Great nephews, a great niece, and 2 great greats. That's
Okay.
the thing, and we're going to put up another picture right now. This is my youngest niece. This is Amy and her husband Steve. That's a great picture, and that was at the wedding that was at the Silos in Bono, Arkansas. That's a pretty good looking couple. I believe they were married in '89. It was their daughter Kanan that got married. Kanan was born, we'll see her in a minute. She was born in 1998. That's Amy and Steve together at the Silos at the wedding. So what do you think? The niece and the husband.
That's a handsome couple right there.
And this is the bride and groom. The former Kanan Marie Richardson is now Kanan Marie Richardson Grossbeck. And her
Okay.
husband, as of the other day, is Preston. So that's a good looking picture there, Pat.
That is a good looking picture. That is a good looking picture.
And how
Well, you
about this
go.
picture?
That
Does
handsome
this,
guy.
do I look happy in this picture?
You do look happy.
This
You
is
do look
me, the
happy.
owner, the founder, the president, Power Pro Wrestling, Memphis Wrestling, born and bred. But it wasn't about wrestling at all this weekend. And the young lady with me will be officially a part of my family next June of 2023. This is my great nephew Corbin's soon to be wife. This is Ryan, and Ryan, as they were, everybody was dancing, and she wanted to dance. I hope I don't have any family members listening to me here because this is what I did for the first time in a long time. They came up to me, and Ryan was calling me up to the dance floor, and I hadn't danced in God knows how long, and never was real good at it. So I said no, and they begged and begged and begged, and it was the people in the audience were chanting, do it, do it, do it. Not still stubborn saying no. But the new bride came up and said, Randy, I will be mad at you if you don't do it. I said, well, give me 2 minutes. So I won't even tell, in case somebody is listening to this, exactly who I went to, but I went to where the groomsmen were and that sort of thing, went into that because I knew if I was going to dance, I need some liquid courage. So I had just 2 shots, only 2 shots of whiskey, but then I went out there and danced my butt off.
Well, good for
Danced my
you.
butt off. And
PJ,
then,
I'm like you. I'd like to see that as well.
how about this picture? This is a family member. This is not a photograph at all from official photographers, but that's a pretty good picture. It is
That's a
Preston
great
Roosevelt.
picture. Boy, she's a beautiful bride, man.
Oh, she looked like $1 million. And hey, I don't think I look too bad for an old man.
You,
Do
cl-
you?
you cleaned up pretty well there. Yeah, you really did.
Well, I got uh, excited about this. And folks, my family situation is not the typical family situation. I want to explain that to you. My parents were older when they had me. When they had me, they had a daughter, my sister, Judy Hales, ended up Judy Hales' wise. Judy was 18 years old and out of high school when I was born. They had 3 daughters because they are my age or around my age, like the one on my left um, is Cindy, and she is a year younger than me. The one on the right is Tracy, and she was born on my third birthday. And Amy, who lives in Jonesboro. And the mother of the bride this weekend, Amy, is in the middle. So, we were the same age, and my nieces, and you met them, or you met 2 out of the 3, Pat. You met
I
Amy
did.
and Cindy.
I
Tracy
did.
was not able to come for a book signing. She lives in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Cindy lives in Cabot, Arkansas, about 2 hours away. So anyway, that is the nieces, and then we'll go and see what this. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. And let's see, wedding 7, and that's mother and daughter together. Mother and daughter together. So I don't do a lot of uh, family stuff, but certainly I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of Canaan. I certainly think that Canaan and Preston very, very happy. I have nothing but great things to say about him, and he's certainly been nothing but respectful to me. But I let him know just because I don't think, I just felt better, Pat, letting him know. You know what I let him know?
What'd you let him know?
I did this early on. Two things. I let him know this. Number one is I know some people. I know some people. Number two, when pushed, I can be a little crazy. Little crazy. Now, I did not remind him that at the wedding. This is when I first met him. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I'm an older, thin, skinny guy that he's thinking, man, he's no threat, especially when Amy's husband's 240 pounds and Corbin is that and Cal's that. But no doubt, and I think they will think that they're all bigger than me. But of the whole bunch of us, who would be the meanest? And who's
Well,
been
like
the
you
baddest?
say, you know people. You know people.
I know people. I know people at all. Catch us up on what everybody's saying as I will click back to that.
Well, everybody's looking for to see a video of you dancing first.
As
I think
far as
that's the
I
first
know,
thing.
there was no video. As far as I know.
All right, I want to do something.
Did you read
I want
I asked you to read those things.
to. All right. PJ says she wants to see the full clip of RH dance. David agrees 100%, and also says you're a happy and proud uncle, which you should be. And Tony Edwards' daughter got married at the Silos in 2005.
Well,
So
that's
how about
cool. I
that?
didn't even know it was that old. I really didn't. I really didn't. And that's where Corbin and Ryan's going to get married. And let's see if we missed any. I'm going to scroll up a little bit just to see if we missed anything. I don't think we did, right? No, we didn't miss anything. And now we'll throw it back to you, Pat.
All right, all right. Well, it's just you and I, so let's do this. Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Interview.
All right. You talked about you know people.
Yes,
You
I
you
do.
gotta have one wrestler to do a real job for you. Who do you go to?
You mean not kill somebody?
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer that. But
Okay.
there are many.
Are there 3 or 5 or 50? Okay. How about this? You get put in jail. Who do you call to come talk you out of it?
You mean get me out of it?
Yeah, get you out.
I would call my great nephew Corbin.
No, he's got to be a wrestler. Somebody somebody on the roster.
You have to take into consideration if they would help you out financially back. So a lot of my life, I would say Eddie Marlin. Obviously, he's not with us. I would say Jerry Lawler, the two wrestling business people without debate, Jerry Lawler and Randy West.
Okay. Okay.
Members of the panel, of the regular panel, Pat, Michael, and Chris, whoever I could, and Adam, whoever I could get to first.
Okay.
Now, basically, the person that could get to me physically quicker than anybody would be Chris.
Now, I just meant, who do you want to show up at the police station and say, look, you need to let this guy out, and this is why?
Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, I expect that's what you would say. I expect that's what you would say.
Because he's been good at getting out of things. They used to call him the Teflon King, Jerry Lawler.
Well, let's not get into all that.
Absolutely.
Who would you want to manage your money? Okay,
Pat Trammell.
Lawler, Dutch, or Dundee?
Probably Dundee.
Okay, okay,
Certainly the
okay.
least would be Dutch.
Would be Dutch.
Yeah, Lawler just likes buying Batmobiles. I would be a little scared of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Uh, let's see. Anybody else? Anybody else pop in there? Uh, okay. Um, okay. I've got as you know, you have a surrogate nephew who's 20 years old. I've got to leave him with somebody for a 2 week period. Do I leave him with Lawler? And this is back in the day, okay? Lawler, Dutch, Dundee, or Tojo?
Tojo.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. The best cook on the roster.
Tojo. No
Okay,
doubt.
okay, okay. The best driver on the roster.
Eddie Marlin. With
All
right behind him would be Tojo, Frank Morrell, and Bill Dundee.
right. Okay, okay, okay. Who's the kindest wrestler on the roster?
Bobby Eaton.
Okay, okay. Who'd be the toughest guy in a fight on the roster?
There's so many over the years. Good gosh. I wouldn't want to mess with Scott Steiner. That's for sure. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
mess with Rick Rude. That's for sure. That's two of them. But you have to worry about more, the least, the person most likely to grab a gun or a knife, and Dundee would do that in a heartbeat.
Okay, okay. Anybody else got any questions? Throw in. All right, best storyteller on the roster.
Oh, the wrestling business is full full of storytellers. I think Lawler.
Yeah.
I know this is Lawler eccentric. So what's David asking, Pat?
Best tag team wrestler with Jerry Lawler.
We will
Lawler's
get
best partners.
that. Is Pat has distracted me, and I distracted myself by doing the family stuff. We will discuss that later. So you have to watch this program to figure out that answer, but we will deal with that. So can I get this show back in gear? I'm sure everybody's saying, what in the hell is going on? Can I get back to normal now, please?
We've had the best 10 minutes in the 6 years on this show, but please go ahead.
Oh, you're saying that just because you threw the show in a way that I hadn't planned. You know what? If Adam was producing, he done got red faced because Randy Westwood too, because they know how I am about directions to take a show and then somebody going into business themselves.
Well, I went into business myself because I thought you told me to.
Well, but I got back on the I got back with the program. Now, what is Tony saying?
Funniest wrestler to hang around.
So many. By the way, let me throw Coco Ware in the list of who I wanted beside me in a fight. Coco is the one of them. There's so many. Hell, am I Tojoing this thing to death? Tojo's funny. Lawler is funny. Just Frank Morrell was funny. Jamie Dundee was funny. Tommy Rich is funny. I'm just a number one. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to do that. So what does David say now?
David is asking who is the hardest man to work with.
For me, either Sheepherder Jonathan Boyd, Moondog Spot, or Manny Fernandez.
Randy says Jackie Fargo.
He's saying that as funniest wrestler. He's not saying that
Oh,
as the
okay.
hardest to work for. Let's make that real clear. Randy is absolutely saying, and certainly he's exactly right. He might have to be number one. And Randy, I'm glad you helped me out there. I had a brain freeze. Fargo did so many ribs, and we've talked about those in the past, and it's absolutely great. I'm going to ask you a question. Did you have a chance to see Tales from the Territories, the last episode last week, Championship Wrestling from Florida?
I did.
Did you think it was a little BS? Some of the stories did you think was embellished even more than I thought they embellished more than Jerry Jarrett. However, I was around to live the stories here. I guess so I thought it was fascinating, and because I hadn't heard the stories, I don't know if I didn't like that show better than the Memphis episode, just because basically I knew the Memphis episode stuff, and the Florida stuff was fascinating to me, and the AWA show I thought was boring as hell. And tonight, it's the Stampede Hart territory. So, what did you think about Championship Wrestling from Florida?
I thought a couple of things, and I agree with you. Number one, we know a lot. I mean, and I'm not. Um, Frank says what you say, and I'm as y'all know, I love history, and I really like history a lot, and I've read it all my life. I got the first book I ever read was a biography of Abraham Lincoln in the fourth grade that I got downstairs. I have studied for. I'm 50. I've studied for. I'm 60 rather. I've studied for probably 52 years of Civil War. So when I see a Civil War show, it doesn't mean a lot. When I see a very well done Revolutionary War documentary, I really love it, or a book. And I think the same thing about this. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with you and Michael and reading, and with Jerry, and with some other folks on, and know a good bit about Memphis wrestling. Florida Championship Wrestling was kind of a first cousin to Georgia Championship because of Dusty and Kevin Sullivan and others. So I kind of had a little bit of understanding of it, but I thought it was really, really good. It was my, I don't say it was my second favorite episode because I was just so excited to see, Dutch and Jerry and Jeff and Jimmy Hart, but uh, I thought it was really, really well done. No, I enjoyed it about as much because I learned more from it.
We had a question earlier that says, Randy, what do I think about Kenny Bolin? I think Kenny Bolin is fat. I think he is obnoxious. I think he is a con man, and I don't like him very much. So there's your answer on Kenny Bolin. But he is funny. I'll give him that. He is funny. David Linville asked my impression of the Mongolian Stomper. Scary, a tough son of a gun, drew a lot of money. I agree, Frank, that Eddie Graham, a genius, but had a lot of demons. I think a lot of us had a lot of demons. Frank says he's a Civil War buff. And Pat, what's your favorite Civil War battlefield? And don't answer I have a follow-up question. Pat, what is your favorite, according to Frank, he wants to know your favorite Civil War battlefield site or national military park? My question is, you called me the other day on the phone and you did a dangerous U-turn in the middle of the internet, did a wheelie to jump because you saw some kind of museum that you wanted to check out. We hadn't talked since, so I don't know how that went. But answer Frank's question first.
Frank, I like all of them. I get frustrated with some of them because some of them are overgrown and built up. And a lot of, like, Franklin, Tennessee, a lot of the battlefield has been developed. I work with the American Battlefield Trust that tries to reclaim some of that land. But my my two favorite parks are Shiloh in Shiloh, Tennessee, because by all accounts, all the historians say that it is most like what the actual battlefield was like during that time. It hadn't been overgrown. It's out in the country. You can tell what's going on. Um, my second favorite is Second Manassas because you can see where the Union Army was attacking Stonewall, and then James Longstreet came in from the left flank. And it, I want to go and have somebody that knows what they're doing show me around Vicksburg. I've not done that, Frank. Uh, I will tell you that the Battle of Champion Hill, which was in that campaign, which is between Jackson and Vicksburg, means a lot to me personally because my great 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 grandfather, my great 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 yes grandfather was captured there in the 30th Alabama, and his brother was killed there, and that the Champion Hill battlefield has just been purchased in the last 5 years and is being turned into a park, and I'm excited about that. The Battlefield Trust did that. But Randy, to answer your question, and Randy and I were talking on the field the other day, and you're talking while I was driving from Nashville to Memphis the other day, and passed by, um, and I forget what it. Well, it's near Parker's Crossroads, Tennessee. But there was a battle in 1863 on the front end of the Vicksburg campaign at Parker's Crossroads, where General Forrest won a battle. He was basically cutting off supplies for the Union. Um, and that has been reclaimed. That land and that battlefield has been reclaimed by a local group, and they have done a fantastic job of that. So if anybody gets out that way, it's well worth looking at. It's battlefields can be good or bad. If you're really interested in it and just don't want to look at a cannon, it's a good battlefield to me is one where you can follow the action before, during, and after the battle, and you can do that at Parker's Crossroads, and I was pleasantly surprised by that.
All right, folks, interesting conversation. 40 minutes into the show, and I'm wrestling business born, wrestling business bred. When I die, I'll be wrestling business dead. And I want the same thing as we did earlier and go to our audience for help with this. And Pat, I need help with this. For sure, I want to talk about things we miss from old school wrestling. And I will give a few of mine right now. First of all, the very number one thing is the territories. I miss the territories. I miss studio wrestling. I miss the fact that kayfabe is no more. I don't like the fact that the entertainment part of it versus the sports part of it has went the other way, and it's bad. I don't like the fact of choreographed matches compared to calling it in the ring. I'm a calling in the ring type of guy. I miss the fact where it was always about good and evil. You don't know who to like no more, and you don't know who to dislike. Selling is a lost art. Finishes, the main one, the super kick, you see 50 of them, they don't sell one of them. That drives me crazy. Now, this is good for the boys. I don't know if it's good for the general health of the business. I really don't know. Payoffs uh, or houses, drawing a house doesn't depend on the wrestler's payoff. It's because contracts and that sort of thing. You don't have the incentive every night of the week to draw a house, and your income is guaranteed. Before, it was certainly based on results. Absolutely, I miss lack of bigger than life stars, and certainly. What is your thought about what you miss from the good old days? Did I leave anything out? And your comments of what you miss and your comments about my list. Pat Trammell from Birmingham, Alabama.
Well, everybody, a lot of people have commented on all that, and I agree with you. Um, and PJ, you're absolutely right. PJ says what she hates most is they use the finisher move at least 5 times a match, and that's absolutely right. I I miss I miss I miss a real beat down heat in the middle of the match. I miss somebody kicking out with their last breath. I miss desperately tag team uh, best 2 out of 3 falls. You never see that anymore, and I miss that. I miss that terribly. I do miss loser leave town matches. Frank, you're right. I miss an unmasked match, and I don't miss hair matches that much. But yeah, I miss. That's what I miss.
It is a interesting situation, and certainly I would like people to kind of get your comments about it as we talk Memphis wrestling. And I'm going to do a little plugs right now. And Al, I am surprised Al is not giving us. I think is Al watching this program today, Pat?
I don't know that Al's commented in a few minutes.
Well,
I think he's gone.
maybe he's having a technical issue. I just want to let everybody know that there he is. Absolutely, he's still there. He's quiet. You might have made him mad, Pat. I don't know, but you have that way on people. But I do want to say a little plug here is that I do 9 o'clock Central every Wednesday. Front row with Bud Roll. That's been changed this week. Bud has something going on, and so it's going to be late getting there. But he is afraid he's not going to be there for the 8 o'clock hour, which 8 o'clock hour our time, Central Standard Time. So I'll be on from 8 to 10 tomorrow. 953theticket.com. 953theticket.com. Brooks Tullis is in the house. Another thing I want to say to Al, Al sent me a link to a wrestling historian. He's a police officer, and I'm not exactly, I forgot where he's from, but to tell you the truth, I listened to about 5 minutes of it, and I thought it was boring. I hope people don't think that sort of thing about me. Now, as far as wrestling historians, people that just read books or hear a story are there. I think the unique thing about Jim Cornette's podcast, Dr. Mantel's podcast, my podcast, other podcasts, is we've been there and we've done that. And, as far as historian for wrestling, it's just the kind of a hard thing. And for one reason, you talk to 25 different wrestlers and they'll give you 25 different stories, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Isn't that right, Pat?
I agree. I agree that to follow up on a couple of comments is Tony. I agree with you. I miss building the story angle with personal issues and selling it over weeks. And Brooks, good to see you. And Frank, you're right. I liked it where they called matches in the ring. And yeah, yeah, I agree. There's a lot I miss, and a lot of the way I used to feel that I just can't. I'm entertained now a little bit, but I just don't have the feeling for it I used to have, and I guess I never will.
It's just the art, and a lot of the older time guys, from these guys, they couldn't the stuff. I almost said crap because I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. The stuff they do now with the flippy floppy dives and all that stuff. There's no way to call that in the ring. There's no way to do that. That's impossible. You have, it's impossible. It's absolutely those sort of things. You have to have it planned out and say, you stand there, I'll dive here, you catch me there, because if there's nobody there to catch them, they'll die. They're liable to die anyway. It's absolutely the believability factor is out the window, absolutely out the window. It's gone, and the guys today, even the veterans today, I know that they sat down and if they're going to work for a national wrestling company, like say Jarrett when he did some shots for the WWE, I guarantee you they went over that match, because you also have to know what you're working with, and he has to say, now if I was working with Billy Travis or working with Jerry Lawler or was working with Scott Steiner, we wouldn't have to do this. But these guys, that's all they know. That's all they know. So the veteran has to do it. Has to do it. There's if they do the type of matches that the national wrestling companies insist on, they have to do it. Absolutely have to do it, Pat.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing is, I mean, and there's no way to know this, and there's no way even to estimate it, and I don't think either one of them could ever estimate it. How many times have Lawler and Dundee been in the ring wrestling each other? How many times has, you know, Dutch and Lawler been in the ring together? How many times has Tojo been in the ring wrestling whoever? I mean, you used to work with somebody for months and months and months.
Hey, you can say Dusty and Ric Flair. You can say Dusty and Kevin Sullivan. You can say Bruno
Well, Ric
Sammartino.
Flair. Well, I mean, the best series of matches, in my opinion, um, and I'll say the two best were Lawler and Dundee, and Flair and Steamboat, and they both had wrestled at least a year over a 3 or 4 year period, going 2 or 3 nights a week.
Frank, I agree with what you're saying, and we'll put Frank's comment up on the thing. He's talking about interviews. I'm telling you, right now, there's one dude right now doing promos that would blow it away, absolutely blow it away in any era there's ever been. And that MJF is way up there in my top 10 of best interviews in the world. Now, do I think somebody writes his promos? Absolutely not. I do not. I think he, and I've seen many people over the years, talk it out in the dressing room or talk it out in the car. But as far as having a sheet to read, I've never seen that. I certainly think MJF is way up there, as Al agrees with me and Brooks agreed with me. We had that conversation last week as well. A heck of a promo.
Now, I've heard that the AEW doesn't script that as much as WWE.
Now, to be honest with you, Pat, I don't know what the WWE does right now with Vince gone. Absolutely. Second of all, I don't know if the USA Network and Fox, they might insist on having a promo written out and written down to approve it or not approve it. I don't know. That's network television. That might happen.
You're absolutely right. That's a good point.
You know, you just don't know what they're dealing with. But I think MJF is probably talks to his agent or talk to Tony Khan and says, "Hey, we're building for you and Moxley. You have any ideas?" And he said, "Yeah, I got some ideas. Watch out, because I'll call out this fan and make sure you get that or that thing." So he has a general idea of what he's going to say, but it's certainly not scripted. And if he did the interview in front of the mirror or back in the back 15 times, there would be 15 different interviews.
That guy's a throwback for sure.
Absolutely. Al says, "I read where Triple H is giving everybody more freedom on the promos." Here's the thing, though. Some people, and I've heard, I can't think of any names, some people don't want the freedom. They don't want the freedom. A lot of the wrestlers today, it just is what it is. They're entertainers. They see themselves. It's just what thanks to the Vince of the WWF. They see themselves as entertainers and actors. They really do. Right or wrong, in my book, it's wrong. But that's what they see themselves. It's absolutely what they see themselves. And those people want a script. Absolutely, they want a script. You go to these veteran talents, you're liable to get a bag of dog doo-doo pulled over your head if you hand one of them a script. You know, they're offended by it. Absolutely. I would be too. I would be offended. But you have to look. I think people will just, especially this audience and fans, you just we do a lot of bashing of old school wrestling. And I am guilty of it at times as well, but I realize it's all about the audience. And people like Cornette says, "Well, back in the day, so many people, the ratings were bad." Nobody was making $20 million a year, and they are now. It's just a different time. There's good and there's bad, but there's so many people that's just, you have to either like it or dislike it. But if you're waiting for modern wrestling to go back to what it used to be, it ain't gonna happen. It's not going to happen, period. The business has been exposed, people. They told us the magic trick. It's exposed. What is Jarrett's most famous saying? Personal issues, draw money. Keep it real. Keep it real. How can you keep it real if every wrestler, every ex-wrestler, every ex-booker, every ex-thing, every fan there is smart to the business? The audience today don't watch the business like we are. Did we think the business back in the day was 100% real? Not one of us. Did we know that for a fact? None of us. Zero. None of us knew it. Did it look real? Yes. Do we have a suspicion of disbelief? Yes. Did we know for a fact it was predetermined? Absolutely not. But we tell them it is now. Pat, you can't go back. You can't go
No,
back.
you can't go back. But and I look, I believe longer than most people. Okay, and even when intellectually I knew, um, I knew it was probably a work. It did not benefit me to accept that. It's like going to the theater, right? It's like seeing a great movie. You want to be in the middle of it. And that's the way I felt about
I'm going to give a heads up to everybody, and I'm going to watch at 9 o'clock Central the Tales from the Territories and the Stampede episode, and give me some time to flick to my uh, change off the cable, the fire stick, and all that. We'll go until 8:30 today, my time. Go through the 8:30 thing, and I want to just several things I want to get in before that time, and just want to ask your quick thoughts on everything, Pat. A couple of modern wrestling thing. It's pretty much been said that the CM Punk is gone from AEW and the Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks are back. And they did a video that they showed us a video they put together that pretty much said that. Your quick thoughts on that? Punk gone, the Elite back.
it. Well, what was he there? 9 months?
Maybe a little longer. I think a year. I think a
A
year. But
year?
if you minus the injury time, I would say 9 months. And real quick, Al says, did you and Pat like the Bloodline segment on SmackDown last Friday? I did not watch it. Did you watch SmackDown last Friday?
I didn't see it, Al. I'm sorry.
I'm not interested in the WWE. It's very, very, very unusual when I do that. So real quick, Pat, Elite's back, Punk's gone. Thoughts?
I was surprised they got Punk out of quote retirement. Um,
I
I,
think he
I
needed the money, Pat.
well, if he needed the money, he would have stayed. You know,
Not
um,
necessarily, because
and
he stayed for 10 years without me with doing other stuff, and finally the money went away.
well, no, I know, but I mean, I'm sure Tony Khan paid him more than a few shekels.
I'm not saying
So,
he did that. I'm just saying. I'm just never mind. Go ahead and say whatever you
well,
want to say.
not well. I mean, you said he needed the money, so that's why he came back. Then maybe he goes back to the WWE for some real money, more money. Weren't he and Triple H were in the kind of the same career, right?
Apparently,
So,
there's bad feelings between the two of those. However, I think Hunter will be a businessman. I think Hunter will do what's right by business, but somebody that everything's going on, a cancer in the back, and it led to this. Would Triple H want him in his dressing room? I think the answer would be no.
that may be the case. He may have been the cancer. My personal opinion, from where I sit, and I sit on this side of the TV screen, okay, and I know nobody involved in that. Uh, and I know you're a whole lot more about the wrestling business than I do, and I listen to Cornette, and I listen to Jeff, and I listen to Arn, and I listen to a lot of the stuff when I can. But there's something going on with the way Tony Khan is managing those guys. I think. I just think Vince was the boss, and I think Tony wants to be one of the boys. Tony if my daddy had the money that Tony's daddy had, and I was Tony's age, how old is Tony?
I think 37 maybe. I'm not positive.
Okay,
I'm not positive. He
okay,
could be
that'd have
33.
been 23. That'd have been 23. Okay, so if my daddy had $1 billion and I had started up a wrestling outfit with his money in 1990, I would have just been trying to hang out with the boys because I love it.
Should
So
Tony Khan, should he have got rid of Punk? Yes or no?
I don't know what happened.
Should
I
Tony have brought back the elite?
No.
Why?
I just don't take them seriously. I could take Punk seriously. I don't take Omega seriously.
I would have. This is my thing. Punk is more my type of wrestler than the elite. Um,
Yeah.
Everything I'm hearing is certainly. I think he's the guy that embarrassed Tony, that did the thing in the media scrum, all the things. So I agree with the fact he didn't need to be back in that dressing room. Now you can't. You're losing Punk, which is arguably the biggest star, and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, as far as numbers and houses and getting it back going. You don't want to get rid of too many people too quick. I mean, you really don't. And if anybody, I mean, now Cornette believes that Moxley and the Elite and Kenny Omega, and they're all worthless and they don't bring anything of value to the thing. Anybody that thinks that, you're too stuck in the past at all. However, but if the Elite and the Young Bucks and Omega is cancer to the dressing room, whether they're top stars or not, if they're cancerous, I'm just not there. Whoever's cancerous needs to be gone and never work in that company again. We just don't. We're not there, so we don't know. And real quick, let's catch up on some of these. Greg says I watched some promotion that is on YouTube. That's on WREZ out of Memphis that had the Roy Flush gang that had Jerry Lawler on occasion. I've seen that too on Channel 3 in Memphis. Al Tuttle says, I don't know what. Let's look back and see what Brooks is saying. Punk was making $5 million a year. I hadn't heard that.
Frank, I don't know.
Yeah, he's been hurt, but they mention him on television almost every week. Apparently, my guess is he'll be back in January. It was just one of those injuries, that out a little bit. He will be back, absolutely, for sure. Let me see. I'm looking at these things. How does wrestling media affect the fans' enjoyment of current wrestling?
As opposed to in 1979?
Yes.
I think it hurts it.
It goes back to the smarting people up.
That's right.
Yeah, and the fact, man, back in the day when I first saw the Wrestling Observer, I thought somebody should kill Dave Meltzer. First thing that went through my mind. Because we, honest to God, had the feeling that if the business was exposed, that we would lose our livelihood.
Well,
I
you
felt
did.
I felt I felt he was exposing our livelihood, and I thought he should die.
Well,
But
shit, Randy. Now he and cable TV did, but if there was still the territories, you'd be a multimillionaire.
I don't know about that,
Well,
but it's a possibility. Absolutely, it's a possibility. Absolutely, there's no about that. One thing that bugs me now, and it's funny, it's just the way the business is. Thanks to Dave Meltzer, we get a lot of questions about behind the scenes stuff, and I understand people wants to know it. And we get people using wrestling terminology. A lot of times they use it wrong. They don't have it, they don't get it, they don't understand it, and that's okay. Dave Meltzer again, and different people where you can learn more. The right way to use terminology is listen to Jim Cornette, listen to me, listen to Dutch, listen to people that's been there. Don't listen to Dave Meltzer. Don't listen to Wade Keller. Don't mention to these goofballs that's never been there, never been on a road trip, never been in the middle of a riot, never did. It bugs me, Pat, that fans care because they don't believe it anymore. They care more about the behind the scenes stuff than they do about what happens in that ring. Do you agree?
I agree. And it used to be. I want to say something off topic after this. It used to be that what happened in the ring was, you know, was how people even the scores. Well, that's not the way it is now. It's all about it's all about all the backstage stuff. Um, One thing I want to say, Frank brought up his comment is, if y'all ever seen Nick Bockwinkel on YouTube on Hollywood Squares, he was a pretty smart guy. He absolutely was. And if anybody wants to have a little bit of a treat, Google on YouTube Nick Bockwinkel Hollywood Squares. He won a car, I think.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It was absolutely great. We are going
Did you ever
to.
meet Bockwinkel,
Oh
Randy?
hell, yeah! I've gone out to eat with him. I picked him up at the airport. Took him back to the airport. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he came to
Well,
Memphis.
tell us what he was like. Tell us what he was like out of the ring and
Just
out from
real,
in front of the mic.
just nice, just a normal guy. Uh, it's just nice,
Was
didn't
it
have
what
no
could you tell he was highly was he intelligent? Did he seem to be highly intelligent?
highly intelligent.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just super nice, just super nice. You would be on top of a list. Just a businessman and a super nice guy. And would come to Memphis to do his job, to make his money, and then go back to Minnesota, type of thing. He wasn't the type that goes out in the club. At least he didn't in Memphis and that sort of thing. He would come in and come out. But yeah, I love Nick Bockwinkel. Absolutely love Nick Bockwinkel. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Now, I want to run through this real quick, and I want the audience to add because I did this quickly. And so if I left anybody out, and I'll list this, but this is not meant to be in numbers. My favorite Jerry Lawler opponents. I started with the first person that he had a single feud with and drew a lot of money. And that person is the fabulous Jackie Fargo. And other people I put on the list is Bill Dundee, Jimmy Hart, Dutch Mantel, Austin Idol, Tommy Rich, Terry Funk, Nick Bockwinkel, Harley Race, Randy Savage, Jimmy Valiant, Joe LeDuc, Eddie Gilbert, Rocky Johnson, with Bill Dundee versus the Blonde Bombers, and with Dutchman Tail versus Dundee and Landale. So who am I missing?
Did you say Idle?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay. That's a long long list. A good one.
And when I listed Idol and Rich together, and both of them had great single matches. They did a lot of money together in that tag uh, team situation. And just it is absolutely. And on this list, this is who Lawler worked heel against: Fargo, Dundee, Dutch, Rocky Johnson. I like Lawler's work as a heel in the early 70s because I think it's human nature, Pat, to like in anything, TV shows, music, sports heroes, whatever, what you grew up with. I grew up with Lawler being a heel for sure. And the Memphis just had tremendous talent. When Rich started in 74, Lawler had matches with him, and they drew money. Now, we had a question about tag team partners earlier, and I list the first person that he was tag team partners with, Jim White, with manager Sam Bass in 1972, 1973. Jim White, Jerry Lawler, managed by Sam Bass. Lawler partners, Bill Superstar Dundee, Austin Idol, Jimmy Valiant, Brian Christopher. And I know there's more, but I guess I've just stopped. Hell, there's more than that. I guarantee you there's more than that. Who am I forgetting, people? White, Dundee, Idol, Valiant, Brian Christopher. I know him. Certainly, he and Idol drew a lot of money. He and Jeff Jarrett did draw a lot of money with the Moondogs. That is a real good answer, Brooks. Yeah, Frank, that was a funny story. Tales from the territories of Jonesboro. David Linville says his favorite partners of Lawler are Dundee and Idol and Jimmy Valiant. Brooks says Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler. Al Tuttle says Phil Hickerson. I would think they maybe came together. I would say that because they came together just a small handful of time. Phil Hickerson's a name that we don't mention. I think when you talk Memphis wrestling, I think you absolutely have to talk Phil Hickerson. He's great. As a mod, says Moondogs, Jarrett and Lawler and Frank Seaton, and I'm going to put Frank's comment up there.
You're absolutely right, Frank. And Ahmad, good to see you, my friend. David, I have not seen any video of Lawler and LeDuc as partners. Is that out there, Randy, to your knowledge?
No. But I can see it happening at a time too, because when Jeff started wrestling, I think they did do Dundee, Landale, and somebody else. Tony Falk maybe against Lawler, LeDuc, and Dutch Mantel. I think. But again, handful of time for sure. I like them better as enemies as I did. But it broke. They say it's on YouTube, so maybe you can check that out after this show is over. There's some couple of Lawler and LeDuc team up together on YouTube, so we'll check that that out, and Hart was Lawler's manager at the time. I just feel that I'm missing some tag team partners. Plowboy Frazier and Lawler teamed together a lot. That's one. They teamed together a whole lot, Pat.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Lawler and Dutch, Lawler and Rich ever teamed together? Did you mention that?
A time or two,
Lawler and
maybe.
Lawler and Jimmy Valiant.
I listed that, I think, didn't I? Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I don't have any recollection. It could have happened, Stomper and Lawler. He teamed with Dream Machine a couple of times. You know,
Did Lawler and Tojo team together much?
not a whole lot, not but some. They held the Southern Tag Team Championships together.
How about Lawler and George Goulas?
I don't know. I really don't.
I guess it's possible.
Because George never wrestled on this end. I don't knock George too much. First of all, I never saw him. Yeah, just never seen him. So I don't know. I just don't know. Michael is a real big at defending George Goulas. Real big.
He is, and I and I don't know a lot of people, but I know half dozen people that know George Goulas and says he's a good guy, a decent guy. And let me tell you something. He ain't the first guy that their daddy tried to put him in a business with them, that it didn't work out, and I've seen that happen in business years and years and years. So anyway,
Bobby Eaton loved him.
Yeah,
he really did. Obviously his work. Even back in those days, his work was not very good, and his promos weren't very good. And he probably should not have been a main event wrestler. Again, like you said, a lot of people have been in that. A lot of the second generation wrestlers over the years have been great, like Dory and Terry Funk. There's just so many of them that's been great.
Well, I mean, but you can think about some guys that just never rose up. I mean, David Flair.
Didn't Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, have a couple of sons that really didn't do much?
Well, he was a son. I know that.
He was a son that did great. But I mean, Curtis Axel is who the son was, I believe. David Sammartino didn't do great.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
well, Greg Gagne.
Here's one that did do great. Exceeded father and grandfather's, Randy Orton.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes, successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better wrestlers in the ring than they're dead. Did they have the charisma? Did they have the promo ability? Nowhere even close, but who did, right? Jeff Jarrett, a great second generation wrestler that was much better in the ring than his dad. His dad would be the first person to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just named a bunch of them. That was good. A bunch of them. For sure. And I thought that Greg Gagne could work. He was just in an era where it was the big man territory there in AWA. He didn't have a lot of believability factor, even though he's very athletic at all. So I haven't seen a lot of the people we're talking about now, like David Sammartino. I might have just seen once or twice, and there's others that I hadn't seen. The Von Erichs, they had the good and bad. They had Kerry. They had David, they had Kevin. That was the good. They had Mike and Chris, not so good type of thing. I kind of disagree with Frank that most sons weren't good because we just Brian Christopher was great. Uh, we just mentioned a bunch of them that's real good. I wouldn't say that Brian Christopher. I'd say Jeff Jarrett was better than Jerry Jarrett. As good as Brian Christopher was, there's no way I would say that he's better than Jerry Lawler because I'd make it no secret the best wrestler I've ever seen in my life is Jerry Lawler. Folks, you won't believe what just happened. We've been on, and it's about time to close this show, and Pat Trammell has been here the whole show, and out of the blue, he went away. He disappeared. He is gone. It's just me. And David Flair wasn't very good, and it's certainly in any career, it's hard to follow the father, Randy Orton, absolutely great, Cody Rhodes, and we'll just mention them all again. Frank just wants to argue today. Randy Orton was the best, certainly, of the Orton family, and the Orton family had Ortons before him that did a great job, but he was the best. Now, the Rhodes family, Dusty, drew more money, and that's what it's all about drawing money and becoming a bigger. I would say that The Rock was better than Rocky Johnson, even though Rocky Johnson was great. He was a hell of a worker, and he was great for the time, and the styles changed. Certainly, another thing that when you talk about the current second generation wrestler, our audience, including me a lot of the time, just don't like anything. Don't like nothing. Like Cornette. Don't like nothing of the new stuff. Don't like nobody. Don't like anything they do. Both Funks were absolutely unbelievable. There's a lot of great second generation wrestlers. So here's the deal, people. We started this show today, and my producer, Adam Dunn, couldn't be here because his wife hit a deer. So he wasn't going to be here to produce. Michael St. John had a radio remote makeup, so he couldn't be here. Then Chris Ellis has a school function, and he couldn't be here. And then Pat Trammell was here, had trouble getting on, but by the time we went live, he was on, and he was on most of the show. But, man, he went away, and he still hadn't come back. And I think it's absolutely probably time to wrap it up for the day and get it on out of here. Radio tomorrow at 8 o'clock Central, 953theticket.com, 953theticket.com. We'll be back Monday, Power Pro Wrestling Watch Along, and then Tuesday talking Memphis Wrestling. As usual, the archives will go up on the Randall, Randall Hales YouTube page. The Randall Hales YouTube page, y'all have that up within the next 15 or 20 minutes. Also, I want to remind everybody to be sure to watch Tales from the Territory on Vice TV. Hopefully, I can catch it on Vice. If not, Alf, I can find it. And in a week or so, send me the YouTube clip so we can see it there. Enjoy this conversation. It was not a normal show. For Pat Trammell, I'm Randy Hales. Happy November, everybody, and we are out.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales, featuring Michael St. John, Pat Trammell, and special guests.